am Erin Davenport, the Special Initiatives Manager at Northeast Delta Human Services Authority, and thank you for hanging out with us one more time. We have an awesome guest today, and he felt the need to just step on out there and create this awesome platform, this faith-based platform, because he sees what's happening in his community. A lot of people talk about it, but they're not really about it. And this particular man, he sees something, he wants to do something about it. And so he's here today to talk about it, okay? He's enlisted Northeast Delta Human Services Authority to help him in his mission. And we have Pastor John here today. Come on into the studio.
Ooh, great to be here. Great to be here.
Thank you so much. And also, I want to bring in someone else that's no stranger to the broadcast, okay? This woman is always out doing the work, okay? We have Miss Kara Etienne, okay? Come on in, Miss Kara. Come on into the studio. She's back.
Hello, everybody. I'm back.
So, Pastor John, Kara, tell me how did you all even link up?
I'll let Pastor John, since this was his brainchild, I'll let him answer that one.
Okay. Well, come on, Pastor John.
Well, I tell you, I attended a NEDHSA Opioid Summit or Town Hall in Monroe, and I was absolutely blown away by the information about the guest speakers, just the tone of the event of wanting to serve people and to give hope for the state of Louisiana, especially up in North Louisiana. And I thought, I've got to do something with this. And of course, COVID hit, and we make it through that. A few other things happened, and I thought, I've got to get a hold of somebody. And I emailed Kara. She was so kind to get back with me, and she has helped put this together and has a heart. She has a joyful heart and very knowledgeable brain as far as what's going on and to help us bring this to Lincoln Parish.
Okay, good deal. Now, Pastor John, okay, well, your title says it all. You are a pastor. So you were at the Opioid Summit and you're a pastor, and you're based where now?
In Ruston, Louisiana.
Okay, all right, Lincoln Parish, and that is one of the areas that we service. So how long have you been in ministry, and how long have you been working in the community? Because that is two separate things.
Yeah.
Should be, it's kind of, sometimes it should be like this, but community and ministry are two different things.
Yeah, it is. And so I spent about 15 years working in churches, and from Louisiana to Arkansas, moved here in 2015 to Ruston, moved back to Ruston. I'm a graduate of Louisiana Tech.
Okay.
And part of Rolling Hills and community ministries that we have here, disaster relief and thrift store. And like you said, the church world ministry is a lot different than the community ministry. And the people that walk in your thrift stores come from all backgrounds,
right.
all backgrounds, and have all different types of stories. And they're just amazing to love on, to minister, and to see. And so I've been with Rolling Hills going on, I believe, about 9 years.
Okay. And Miss Kara, remind everybody, because we already know, but remind everybody, you have been working you are a social worker. Give me the full title, because I don't want to.
Okay, so I am the Opioid Use Disorder Prevention Manager here with Northeast Delta. I started this position in October of 2019. Prior to this, I like to say I was just a regular old social worker, which, not to minimize that,
right.
Meaning that I did typically what a lot of people think of when you think of a social worker. I've worked inpatient and outpatient psych. I've worked psych in healthcare on the dialysis side, and I even worked in long-term care. I worked directly with those patients there. And then I worked as the admissions coordinator. So not only was it long-term care, but it was also veterans long-term care. So it gave me the opportunity to work with veterans and learn that side of the VA system. And then I transitioned into this role. And one of the things that was eye-opening, I can remember when I walked in to do the interview, and I was like, wait a minute. When I saw the job description, I was reading it before going in, and I was like, don't think this is what I applied for. And so I started praying. I was like, Lord, please give me the words I need to say when I go in here to this interview, because at that point I was kind of thrown like, okay, I don't know what angle this is going to be coming from. But I went into the interview, and I think the first question I was asked was, what was my experience with working with individuals with substance use disorder? So you noticed I said all those different things that I had done, but it really had to, like, I had to stop and think. And so it made me realize, like, although the titles that I had in the agencies or clinics and hospitals in which I was working with, while my direct title was not, or the goal was not to be providing substance use treatment, that I had experienced patients at each level that had substance use disorder. And so a lot of times, especially in like dialysis clinic, I was the only social worker at the clinic. So you've got 100+ patients and you're the only social worker. And so those who have substance use disorder, it's your responsibility to identify what those problems are and help to connect them to resources and treatment and meet the needs, which with that population, it's hard to do because of the extenuating medical circumstances that they have as well. So that's just kind of what I've been doing. I've got over here, and I like to tell people, like, I really like what I do, because
It
now I'm
shows.
able to reach people at a larger level on a larger scale. So that's what I do.
Okay, well, it's great that you all were able to link up, because there will be a opioid town hall, correct?
Yes.
When will that be, Pastor John?
It's April 27th. That's this Thursday at 11:30 to 1. And we've got a free lunch. Lunch has been sponsored. Catfish, chicken, pork, and some fixins. And I remember a banana pudding.
Okay. I am sold. If I wasn't going, I'm definitely going now to give me some information and this good old catfish plate. But tell me, Pastor John, like, what is going on in Lincoln Parish that you were like, I have to get something going? Like, what's so bad out there?
Absolutely. And we had talked about, I've lived in some different places. And man, coming to Lincoln Parish, it's a beautiful place to live. Right. Some of the best people in Lincoln Parish by far. I mean, wonderful people. And I saw some opioid information going in Monroe and Shreveport and Little Rock and Alexandria. And here we are right in the middle, and it's being trafficked on our interstates, on our highways in Lincoln Parish every week. And it's going to these outside cities. And I thought, we've got to know. This is so big. This is so big. We've got to know. And on a personal level, working for churches through the years, I've got 2 students who've been affected by fentanyl. And fentanyl is still a new thing to a lot of folks. We see it in the news probably the past 4 or 5 years, maybe 6 years. But I had a former student. It was on a holiday, and he goes back to his apartment, and he's taking some drugs. He has a college degree. He has his life ahead of him. Very smart, very capable. In fact, just took on some new job responsibilities and a promotion, and was doing a little bit of drugs, and it was laced with fentanyl, and he never woke up. He never woke up. And that broke a lot of people's hearts. This guy was very well known, handsome young man, 25 years old, and his life was taken through fentanyl. Another student, a little bit different background. His choice of drug is fentanyl. His mom reached out last October to my wife and myself. He's overdosed on fentanyl 14 times. 14 times. I didn't even know that you could do that and still be alive. And I told his mom, I was like, God's got a plan for this young man.
Right.
And it's Narcan, which CARE will bring us Narcan training to Lincoln Parish. But it's the Narcan that has saved his life time after time. And so when you have that personal conviction, and it was just this reoccurring thought since 2019 that man, I've got to do something for our community. And then you hear of a former student that you used to take home from school,
Mm-hmm.
used to take home from church, that's been in your office, that you went to camp with, that you invested your life in, and this happens. You got to do something. You got to do something. And so, I'm in this to save lives. And, I applaud Kara. I applaud Aaron. And what you do every day, you're saving lives. You're saving lives. And I'll tell you this. I had a man last Friday. He walked in through the side doors. Very few people do that here at Rolling Hills. He just walked into the side doors, tears in his eyes. And he said, "My name is Chris." He said, "My son was in Afghanistan. He came back, and he never recovered from the war. And he picked up drugs and started using drugs. And for the first time in 15 years, he said, yesterday, I saw my son under a bridge in Monroe. And he's doing drugs. He said, I would love, it'd be a dream to have a relationship with my son without the drugs, without the drugs." And folks, it's here. It's been here. And it's just going to get worse. And so, I'm spiritual. I'm a pastor. I'm a minister. But I know this. That I've got to meet the physical need before I meet that spiritual need. I've got to meet that physical need.
I'm happy you said that because Kara and I have had several conversations and I'll talk about this a little bit later, but Northeast Delta is having a faith summit. And so one of the things, because Kara and also you, Pastor John, y'all are in this. What I do is bring everybody together and let's talk about it publicly and get the word out. But you all are actually in the trenches. And so I was just trying to put two and two together so I can make a valuable faith summit and things like that. But one of the things Kara told me was to help me get my mind right was ministers are saving souls, but their lives need to be saved. So we need to bridge the two. But see, you're already there. You're already there at saving lives and saving souls.
Yes.
Now let me, okay. So once again, I didn't realize, it is two big major universities right there. There's Delta Community College right there, but I did not realize that Lincoln Parish was having such a rise in the opioid and fentanyl epidemic. Like, why is that? Like, Kara, you're alumni, you're Grambling.
Yes.
So like, tell me about like the attitude and like the tone and culture on there. Is it very like, we're keeping this on the hush? It's not like.
So my experience, like I say, I'm a resident of Lincoln Parish, via Grambling. And so a lot of the times, we would hear like, we didn't do certain things, or even though we would hear certain things that would happen, it didn't make it outside of that niche. Okay. And part of it could be because you have to protect the integrity of the universities. If it's too bad, you don't get enrollment. People doesn't want to send their children there. Right. So I understand that. But the other side is we're responsible for ensuring that they are informed and aware, of the problems and what's going on. I will say it's not unique. It's not just because it is a university town. Back at our Christmas event that we had for our agency, and the mayor from Ruston spoke, he said, he likes to think of Ruston as a two-college town, because even though Grambling technically is not in Ruston, it is in Lincoln Parish. And so a lot of the students have to go to Ruston for a lot of the things that they need. And so I really appreciated him for that. I want to make sure that I point out, though, that it is not something that is just, it's only happening in Lincoln Parish. This is happening statewide. This is happening nationwide. Unfortunately, with the rise of fentanyl, there have been people that their drug of choice has either been cocaine or crack cocaine or even meth, and they have been using those substances, and even just regular heroin. They have been using those substances for years and have not been at risk for overdose and dying. It is fentanyl that has now changed the game. I like to say it's like playing Russian roulette, because you never know when you're going to get that one. You're going to get that bullet in the chamber on that particular dose. That now, because of the high that it gives, A lot of suppliers are starting to put fentanyl into everything, and they're not letting those that they're selling to know that it is in there. And so you have people that think that they are purchasing crack cocaine, or thinking that they are purchasing regular cocaine or meth, and they are not aware that fentanyl has been laced into it to produce a high. If they don't overdose, and if they don't overdose and die, they just think that that was a good product, and they go back, they return for more. Because there's no way to tell that fentanyl has been placed in it. There's no different odor, there's no different color, there's no different texture. They are able to lace it into things, and you are using and consuming unaware. So that's why we're wanting to educate and bring this about. And a lot of times I don't think that, and I'm not trying to give them a pass. Let me make sure I put that disclaimer out there. I don't think the dealer oftentimes understands what they are doing and how deadly fentanyl is. And so the education is not just for us, those of us that are in the community trying to save the lives. It's for the users, and it's also for the dealers too. 10 years ago, we could say dealers were just messing up families and ruining lives by selling. Now they are actually killing people. You know, so that's something that, and even if it's not where it is extremely happening at a high rate, we want to get ahead of it. We're trying to be proactive and not reactive.
Right. Absolutely. Now, Pastor John, now what happened? So you're at Roland Ministries, y'all have the thrift store and things. What happened when there was an incident where like y'all found some things, some of the donations?
Yeah, it was probably 18 months ago, and we're a totally happy place. We're a safe place, and
Right.
a customer came in and said, "Hey, I think there's something in the parking lot," and we walked out, and I took a picture of it, sent it to an individual, and I said, "Is this what I think it is?" And it was. It was a full bag of meth,
Okay.
and under supervision of multiple people, we disposed that and got rid of it and everything. But it reminds us that it's here, and
Right.
so and
Not
it's not just
a donation drop off, not it. Like,
yeah, and it's not just in certain parts of Lincoln Parish on the street. I mean, I've heard of it being down pipelines in the woods, riding four-wheelers to get there, and so it's a everybody type of usage. And what astounds me, there's a few things. One is 2019 to 2020, there was a 40% increase of overdose. And we know that COVID was going on there.
right.
And to essence, COVID opened up Pandora's box to opioids even more. And so there's that's linked. There's everyone who started taking opioids during that time. 3 years later, COVID is dissipating, and they continue to use, and it continues to grow. And it's growing exponentially. It's just huge. It's huge. The second is this, and it's like Kara said, and Brad Wall, who will be speaking from Lincoln Parish Sheriff's Office, he shared this. He said there's no such thing as recreational drug use. And I talked with a former drug dealer, and I said, "Hey," I said, "what do you think about this?" He said, "When I was selling drugs years ago," he said, "I never thought that I would kill somebody." He said, "Now drug dealers are, like Kara said, are literally killing people." And the flip side of that is you have folks who don't necessarily live a street lifestyle. They have professional jobs. They've gone to college, like this young man who's 25 that passed away, former student. But they're not 25; they're 55. Okay, they may be in their 60s. They're in their 40s, and on the weekend was a little opioid, little pain medicine usage. Okay, maybe in some hard times they would use it. Now that's not considered to be recreational, because that opioid, that synthetic pain medicine, might be laced with fentanyl. And so it's hitting communities, and people are, quote, being found out. "Oh, I didn't know that Jim had an opioid issue until he died."
See, that's an image that did not come to mind. When until you got to the age, I was with you, and I was like, oh, "Okay, I see that person." But when you said 55, I was like, "No, that's not."
Yeah.
No,
All ages,
it is.
doesn't matter
That's how you
race,
keep in mind.
sex, socioeconomic status.
Right.
It is affecting and impacting everyone at alarming rates.
Yeah.
Pastor John and Carrie, can y'all tell us about what's going to go on? Who's going to speak at the town hall, other than the amazing fish plates and whatnot?
Yeah. Maybe I think there's a welcome by the HSA, and Carrie could speak a little bit on that, and then I'll stand up and give a heartfelt. This is why this is here for Big John. This is why. It's because I've been affected by it. I saw people affected by it. I saw people surprised, people who didn't even know about fentanyl, who had to Google it and say, he died from what?
Yeah.
Who were affected by it. And then for our community, is this is and this will continue to affect our community. And just by being there, I mean, you have an opportunity to save somebody's life. Whether it's the pain medicine, you're a senior adult, it's a pain medicine that you have in your pantry that you're like, I need to dispose of this. Okay. Or you see symptoms in somebody's life and you run across people that you can talk to there and connect them with. You have an opportunity to save somebody's life. And I'm just going to be honest by saying, hey, it's not that bad, or that's their problem. By saying those things, really, that's part of the problem. Okay. That's part of the problem. And so, man, if you're there, you are part of the solution. If you in your heart and your mind say, well, that's something that's dirty and sinful, and that doesn't have anything to do with me and my family, I would just be real careful. Okay. I'd be real careful. But by attending a great meal with great speakers, you got a chance to save somebody's life. But I'll do an intro. Brad Wall from Lincoln Parish Sheriff's Office, man, he's going to share, and it's pretty groundbreaking as far as what he shares for our community, what they deal with. He'll share for maybe 20 minutes. We're going to have a testimony. Okay. Somebody who's gone through this before from a Teen Challenge. And then Kara will come up and she will share from the HSA. She'll also train us, and Kara can talk more about that, train us in Narcan.
Yes, so I'm going to train you in the use of Narcan, and we are also going to distribute Narcan to those in attendance. So everyone that will leave that day will be equipped in how to save a life in the event of an opioid-related overdose. We're also going to have a vendor area. So there will be other vendors that have been working with us, some that have been working with us, some that we are just bringing in because we opened it up to anyone that wanted to participate, so that they also walk away with knowing what resources are available in the community. You know, Northeast Delta does the behavioral health, the addictive disorders, developmental disabilities, and the prevention services, along with our integrated care. But there are other areas of need that individuals suffering from opioid use disorder and their families may need. So we want them to walk away also knowing what community resources are available to them and how to be able to access those resources. So it's like a mini little summit for the parish of Lincoln Parish.
Well, before because time is wrapping up, but before we leave, Pastor John, I do want to get your opinion on this because, like I said before, you are saving lives and souls, and I'm just wondering, like, in your opinion, like, what is the role for faith-based leaders and organizations in the community?
Absolutely. As a minister, you're a shepherd. And a shepherd has to know the culture in which the people are living. You've got to know. And you have to know, you have to be aware, and you have to respond. You have to respond. And so when it comes to ministers, the first people that ought to be signing up, in my perspective, are the faith-based groups. They need to know. And they need to introduce themselves to the front lines. And the front lines are your doctors, your nurses, your fire department. And they need to say, we're hand in hand with this, and we're going to fight this together. You're from a different faith background. Maybe you're not a part of a faith, but we're going to hold hands together. We're going to march together under one reason, that's to save people's lives.
Yes. I like to say, Aaron, I love to say,
Yes.
Pastor John can't save the soul if we don't save the life.
Right.
And that's the goal. We're working hand in hand, and we want them to also, in saving that life and saving that soul, our motto is we want them to reach their full human potential. So we want them to thrive. We don't want them just existing. And so that's what that's about. Figuring out how all of these different agencies and faith-based communities that are coming together can work to help you on that journey.
Mm-hmm. Can I say this about faith-based? And John chapter 5, Jesus looked at a man who was beside a pool. He'd been there for 38 years, and he asked the question. He said, "Do you want to be well?" And we've got to look at people who are in the faith base, and we've got to look at the culture around us, and we've got to help them become well. Because a sick man only has one wish, and that's to be well. And there's people who are sick out there, and they need that healing. And it's a spiritual healing, we know, but it's a physical healing truly as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Right.
That's the type of faith base I need in my life. You know what I'm saying? Like faith without work. So I need some faith and some work with it. I love it.
Right.
Yes.
Thank you, Pastor John, and thank you, Kara, for coming on. And
thank you.
Very I don't know if I should say I'm excited about the town hall, but I mean, like, it's going to be so much information and so many good vibes. That's my term. So many good vibes there. But thank you for coming on. Where else can we find some information, Pastor John, about your town hall?
On our Rolling Hills Ministry Facebook page, I've got a picture of the flyer. And I had the schedule there and the link to register. And so anybody can register. Anybody can come. If you're outside Lincoln Parish, we'd still love to have you. Okay.
Yes.
We want anybody and everybody. That's how we are. We care. And you can click on there to be attendee. If you're part of a rehab, somebody that treats opioid abuse, then you can be a vendor as well.
Okay,
yes.
Great.
And we have several that have already registered, whether they're just agencies that provide resources and also inpatient treatment facilities that will be there providing information on how to receive and access their services.
And Kara, tell everyone how they can reach you for Narcan training or anything additional that you do.
They can always email me at kara.etienne@la.gov. They can call the Prevention and Wellness Department at 318-362-4617. Even if you forget my name, I tell people all the time, if you forget my name and you call and say Narcan, Grace, our office manager, knows she knows who to get the call to. So we will come out. I tell people also that it is not limited to just Monday through Friday, 8 to 4:30. I will work with anyone to meet the needs of what they need. I've done weekends, after hours. Now, I'm not saying that's what I prefer to do, but if all you can do is a weekend or an after hour, I will work and we will there's no reason why you shouldn't be trained and not have the Narcan that you need. So just contact me. I have other resources and partners that I'm working with in the community that does, similar work to what we're doing. And we will be able to help meet that need. But kara.etienne@la.gov or 362-4617. Just ask for the lady with the Narcan.
All right. Thank you all so much. And thank you to the man behind the curtain that's got the live stream going, doing all of our technical stuff. And you all have a great day.
Bye, everybody. See you Thursday.
See you Thursday.